What's up, people, and welcome to the Duel of the Mates podcast, a podcast where we'll be discussing everything and nothing like our lives depend on it. My name's Jay, and I'm joined by my two amazing co-hosts, Dan.
Yo.
Tate.
Hello, everyone.
Along with our wonderful producer, Lewis.
Hello.
In this episode here, we're going to talk about Andor Season 2. We're going to take it in arcs because it was released that way, and it's a bit easier to consume and talk about. And yeah, really fucking excited. And Tate is going to be taking the lead on this one. So Tate, take it away, man.
Hello. Firstly, a warning in advance. We are going to give some spoilers, especially for the first arc right now.
Very mild type spoilers.
Yeah, mild spoilers. And we are very good at going on tangents. So we might slip into arc 2, 3, or even 4 accidentally. But the main topic of conversation today is arc 1.
Yeah.
And the first thing that happens in arc 1 is Andor trying to steal a TIE Avenger.
One thing though as well. And we've got our other co-host, Dan Boy. He has just started watching Andor as well, so I'm very excited to hear your opinion on it as well, so we're gonna get a few things of that too.
My knowledge is limited so far. Haven't watched the first series, started watching the second series. Been a ride, so let's hop into it.
Been a bumpy ride. So yeah, it begins with the TIE Avenger, with Andor attempting and kind of succeeding in stealing the TIE Avenger.
He succeeded, just badly.
He did succeed. It was kind of, it took him a couple of attempts. And that is the first thing that I want to talk about, is how he had literally mentioned right from the get-go that he had been training to like kind of work and steal this TIE Avenger really swiftly, and then got there and it didn't have a seat, because the seat like pops up when you turn it on.
Him try grabbing,
and you just see like his face drop, he's like, what? I have no idea how to work this.
There was one thing with him stealing that as well, because it's one thing you keep saying as well, where he's masquerading as an Imperial test pilot, and to get in he had help from one of the Imperial people who worked at the base, and she was basically going to defect to the rebel side, and like he gave her like such a good talking to and all that. She definitely did.
She's gone.
She died. She definitely got murdered. So,
it was for a good cause. One of the things I think was really good about and really powerful about that scene is that it really shows him as a leader. It really shows him kind of explaining what the benefits are and why she was doing something worthy and why she was doing something for a good cause.
And it's your first introduction to the character of Andor as well, so it gives you a good little grip of like what type of person this man is. Because he was lovely to her as well. And then,
he was sweet, but he signed a death warrant, innit?
So yeah, I think that was really good. Another thing that I quite liked is it was like surprisingly comical, kind of reminded me of the originals. It was just, there was a lot of like comedy and comedic value to the fact that he was like bouncing around inside this inside the kind of hangar, and he had no idea how the controls worked. He would like obliterated those stormtroopers.
He was learning all of that under distress as well. Like I said, he thought he knew how to fly it. Once he goes in there, it's literally a completely different type of thing. And it just shows that the kind of tactician and pilot this guy is.
Yeah,
he's versatile.
Yeah, he was getting shot at, everything. Can I just say as well, the CG in that bloody scene, when you first see the TIE Avenger, Jesus Christ, Disney, man, you lot got peas. Like that scene it looks beautiful, like so beautiful.
It really got me interested when I saw that scene and seeing how they've done the CGI. Yeah. I was a bit blown away with it, to be honest. It's quite good.
Especially for TV,
Yeah, one thing you can rarely knock from the kind of Disney Star Wars stuff is it is so visually pleasing, it's just such a spectacle every time.
I don't even like the Acolyte, but I cannot say it doesn't look like a beautiful show, because it does.
Fight choreography as well, but that is us on a tangent. There we go. 2 minutes in. So yeah, going back to it. One other thing before we move on, I really like the range trooper. I just think that costume was so cool. The guy with the like fluffy furry shoulders and the rocket launcher. He did clearly only have 2 minutes before he got annihilated by like ion cannon or whatever.
That was sick. The way the cannon goes, and then all you see is just a hole in the wall. No more trooper or anything.
Used to be. But yeah, I just thought that was really cool as well, putting that in there. Because correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we've seen live action range trooper before.
No, we wouldn't have, because this is more. Yeah, this is like Empire series, Empire timeline, and in season 1 of Andor, they were still kind of in between clones and then normal stormtroopers. So I think this may be the first time we have seen it.
To be fair, that is a really cool part of Andor season 1 when you see clone troopers acting as stormtroopers.
Yeah, you see the transition so cool between them getting rid of clones and making them
still wearing the same armor but acting and working for the Empire this time.
Some of the best helmets in Star Wars, like original clone trooper helmets. I love them.
Yeah, phase 2 clone trooper helmets. Oh my god. Also Rex's helmet. Just a shout out to Rex. He is a legend. Oh my goodness, that helmet is beautiful. So yeah, moving on. Once he steals the TIE Avenger, he then flies to Yavin to go find his buddy,
which we don't know as Yavin at first. You pick that up as like it goes along, innit?
Yeah. So it doesn't like have a name when he, you know, sometimes Star Wars puts like a name for the planet when they get to it. They didn't do that with this. It looks like Yavin, but obviously a lot of the shots you see of Yavin in, especially the originals, have the temple and the base there, and obviously this is before the base is built.
Honestly didn't clock that was Yavin till about episode 3, and I was like, oh crap, wait, was he like just on Yavin?
Yeah,
so I completely went over my head.
Yeah, and it makes it more impactful, you know. But yeah, he then obviously gets found by the like Maya Pay Brigade, so the rebels who are on
Yavin rebels.
Yeah, the original Yavin rebels, and that for me is where it slowed down a little bit, this arc, you know. I just think they spent a really long time with Andor having been captured by these really disorganized, really argumentative, really kind of annoying rebels, you know.
Very much so.
They kind of get on your nerves, and obviously I think like that was done intentionally, but I don't know, I think they were a bit beneath him, you know. He has just shown that he can escape an Imperial facility with a TIE Avenger.
He didn't know how to fly properly.
Exactly. Which reminded me as well, on that scene you're talking about, they're trying to take over. You got 7 people in the cockpit of this TIE Avenger that Andor's just flown there, and 7 people who ain't getting shot at nothing can't even figure out how to get this thing working.
Yeah,
which just proves the point of how sick he was trying to getting that thing to work.
Yeah, 100%. But they still managed to capture him somehow. But that's
because he did walk out there like, "Hey, I'm here."
To be fair, he was a rebel. He was clearly dressed in Imperial stuff, but he was a rebel. He did try and say that. They didn't exactly believe him. And then very swiftly they kind of turn on each other, you know, and they start having this. They split into 2 factions, as you said, which. I don't know.
It started over food and water, innit, as well. They were like, and then one of them got shocked. You had that dickhead guy who kept being like, oh yeah, I'll kill him, blah blah.
There's always one.
Yeah, and then he really fucked him over.
I did also quite like the scene where they accidentally turn the guns on, and it just kind of shoots off into the forest. But yeah, I don't know. I think they just spent like almost the entire arc. Andor had been captured. You know, he was just like held prisoner, and he is a genius. He is a smart man. He is a leader, and he should have been able to get out of there a little sooner than he did, in my opinion.
And for me, because I just started picking up on season 2, I started from season 2, so it opened up with the TIE fighter scene, brilliant, really intrigued, and then boom, next 2 episodes really quite slowed down, just with him in chains. It's like, what's going on, man? You know,
so the other thing that for me kind of softened the blow and made it a little more interesting was that during the time that he had been captured, they were switching between the Imperial meeting, you know, Krennic's meeting, and going back to these rebels. And I think the reason they did that was just to show the like disparity between the rebels, really disorganized, you know, had no idea what was going on, fighting within each other, and then switching to this perfect white room, loads of people dressed really smart, and they had a plan. They had
it wasn't a white room. This was a new setting that we got to see, like Krennic's office type of thing. Remember that they're at the big like table thing, and they'd shut down the blinds and all this to give them talk.
So I don't know, I just think it was a really good way of showing the difference between the rebels and the Empire at that time.
It was a proper good contrast, because you're seeing these people that need, as in like the rebels, they need to be organized, they need to get their shit together,
they need some food and water, let alone anything else.
Exactly, they need to get people on their side and show that this is a good cause and we can get somewhere, but they're doing something for the greater good. And then you have these people who want to do something like completely disgusting, like evil. They want to take over the entire galaxy and all that, and seeing how well organized they are for this. I can really understand how like the rebels kind of shouldn't have even been a thing. Like the Empire could have eliminated them if they were, I don't know, if they just stuck to their guns a bit more, you know, because they are very, very organized, and it's quite terrifying. And
it goes back to the kind of the long-standing idea that the rebels are not like a single entity, you know. There's loads and loads of different people rebelling against the Empire, and the fact that they're disorganized is obviously detrimental to them, but it makes it a lot harder for the Empire to catch them, because there's so many different factions and so many different people that don't like the Empire.
Like, what's that Hydra thing? Cut off one head, 2 more grow in its place. So that's kind of what it was with rebellion. But I also do like how that scene with Krennic and the sea, like 13 Imperials that have been trusted with the darkest of information, how that harkens back to, what's it called? Like Hitler and all them lot doing that when they were talking about the extermination of the Jews and all that. Like how they took that real world situation and managed to apply it to Andor as well, and really showed us, like, it kind of brought a bit more, like, I don't know, depth to it as well, you know?
Absolutely. Even the way, like, they're dressed and the way they were talking, and you know they're bad motherfuckers when the curtains start coming down before they watch the film together, you know? And I was like, right,
and then they're showing a video of a beautiful, peaceful planet, and then they're talking about, okay, well, we've got to go to activate, and we're, you know, it just shows that the Empire do not care, like, at all. It's just there for power.
You raise a good point, because I mean, I think Andor is really relatable.
100%.
One of the reasons it's got so much, like, viewership, so many views, and so much popularity is because it is really relatable, and it is something that is. I mean, what the actor for Bix said in one of the, like, recap things in one of the behind the scenes, she said, Andor is exactly like what's going on in real world. You know, it's so relatable. It just happens to be in a galaxy far, far away, which I think really hits the nail on the head. You know, it is good because it is so close to things that are going on either now or in history. You know, there are so many like kind of equivalents in the real world that just makes it, a lot more relatable. So I do agree with you there. Absolutely.
It's part of why it kept me, like, quite interested to see what's going on, you know. Which is why they wasted a hell of a lot of time with Andor locked up, you know?
Yeah, Andor's got a lot to do. He's a busy man, and
busy man.
Spent 2 episodes just sitting in a ship waiting for something to happen.
So I was just looking for this quote that has been flying around about Andor, where people are saying it's Andor is a show where they kind of show where history comes knocking at your door. Like, this show is really... It's quite relatable to, like, real world topics and all this, and they've really... Star Wars is for kids and all this, but with the stuff they're showing, like, Andor is Star Wars adults, you know? So yeah, I don't know. I think
that is another good point as well. It's like, it's a really political show.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's quite complex. The story is complex, and they have to fit a lot into one season. And because of that, it is definitely, the demographic is definitely supposed to be a lot older than a lot of the other Star Wars content that we're getting, which I like. You know, I really enjoyed it.
Well, especially at the end of episode 3, there was a controversial scene that was, quite adult thing as well, so this really showing, like, they are going for the hard grit. Like, they're trying to show you stuff that may make you uncomfortable, but at the end of the day, it's also war. This is the first,
I mean, it's stuff that goes on in the world,
thing,
you know?
They're trying to show the nitty-gritty side of what goes on,
which people have, like, complained about. We'll talk about that scene though when we get to, like, episode 3 or whatnot.
Going back to the meeting with the what even is it? Imperial Security Bureau, I think.
Yeah.
Might have got that wrong. Fact check, perhaps. But anyway, that meeting is really important, mainly because it's the introduction of what is supposed to be going on in on Gorman, you know. It kind of is the first time that you hear that they're not just going there for the fabulous silks and all of the lovely clothes.
What they're trying to activate?
Calcite.
Got there. Been working on it. Yeah, so Calcite clearly is what they're needing, and supposedly there is nowhere else in the galaxy they can get it. And I don't know the exact role that it plays, but I'm assuming something to do with the Kyber core and the Death Star.
It was to see the laser on it. So he says this in the scene, the laser that shoots off the green beam, they need something to coat it, because the power that's going to go through it will basically just make it explode.
Like harnessing the power of a Kyber crystal. Yeah,
it's basically a conductor.
Yeah. I mean, it makes a lot of sense that it kind of sets the tone of, we're going to this planet and we need the minerals inside. There's no alternative, no other way of getting it, and it's likely to cause the planet to become uninhabitable.
Even though they're kind of slow episodes, there is a lot of good build up that they need to show us. So I can, even though I didn't enjoy the episodes as much, they're still very important to the story going forward. But that's kind of the issue of most of this season. It's a lot of build up. And
my main counterpoint to that is the wedding on Chandrila.
Yeah.
So I think there are parts of that. So we're moving slightly to, like, Mon Mothma's arc in the...
Get to the wedding when we get to the wedding, not to... So to talk about Mon Mothma, because she does quite a bit in this beginning.
She does do quite a bit, to be fair. I mean, Mon Mothma, it does start with her on Chandrila, and it begins kind of with her talking to Take Holmer, who's the, like, banker guy who was he was in season 1, but I think his main role was that he was, like, funding the rebels. He was covering up all of the costs going to the rebels, so that the Imperials, so that the Empire didn't.
This is the guy they just randomly in season 1. He's so important. He's the banker basically. And then season 2, yeah, he kind of just gets dropped.
He is a little bit irrelevant, but in the first arc, he has his biggest role to play in the whole thing, and it is, it's like her juggling, because it is during the midst of the wedding preparation. So it's like Mon Mothma's daughter is getting married, and she wants to have a role
son
to play.
That she's getting married to, right? You talking about that, Donnie?
No, he is. Are you able to do that? He wasn't prepared. Tay Colmer, Tay. Colmer with a K. Dol. Yeah, there we go. That guy.
Yeah, it's his son that's getting married to.
No, I swear it was the other guy.
No, it's his son.
I'm making it up. Well, anyway, Tay Colmer, the banker, who is covering all the rebel kind of costs and fees and stuff. That was like the main stress that she was like experiencing in the first arc. When she was like asking for a number and asking what was going on. I think the main reason is because he was failing to keep her like expenditures like undercover.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of important.
He's a dick. I just remember something he does later. We're talking about that later. Sorry.
So yeah, I think it's kind of important, but I think the fact that they spent so long on the wedding,
it could have been.
It's not exactly. I don't know. It was just drawn out quite a lot, and it didn't need to. It could have been said in a much more concise way, because you see nothing from the wedding as soon as it's over. As soon as the first arc's over, that's it.
It's them to showcase some fancy clothes, I think.
And Dan, you brought up a point I wanted to mention. The thing that has like stood out in the whole of Andor season 2 is the costumes and the set design. I think it is just so impressive. It is such a spectacle. The costumes are so varied. There's so many different styles and different outfits and different like designs, but every single one I think fits Star Wars and is really impressive.
It is the most Star Wars looking thing since the original Star Wars. Like the world is so lived in. Like it's gorgeous.
Put a lot of love and effort into that.
A lot, yeah, and I mean a lot of money as well. But I don't know. I was really taken aback, and the wedding is a really prime example of them just showing off what they can do.
Showcase. That's what I think
it reminds me of the like kind of dance scene, with the disco droid, where you just see the most amazing costumes, and there's hundreds of them. There's literally so many, and different species as well.
The amount of care that goes into it is beautiful. I want to ask you, Dan, for your introduction to Andor, without the knowledge of what me and Tate are giving you before watching it, do you find them first 3 episodes like gripping without having season 1?
Not really. As I keep saying, the scene with the TIE fighter really gripped me. I was like, oh, this looks stunning. Like the weapons and stuff that they showcased, they're really good. Got the stormtroopers coming out, really good. And then it just slowed down so much. And that was the biggest thing. And for someone who hasn't watched the first bit, just jumping into that and then total slow.
We gave you a 10-minute recap, which was like the best bits of season 1, and then you go straight into 3 pretty slow episodes. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, admittedly, I was like, we have to watch this. It gets incredible. Just wait.
And it does.
And it definitely does. But yeah, I think they've done a bit of a Disney there, where it like starts a little slow and
then builds up. Yeah.
And then it builds up.
Slow burn.
Well, I wasn't even the biggest fan of season. Don't get me wrong, I love season 1, but where everyone was like, it's the best thing since original Star Wars, I was like, it was a bit slow and all this. So even with them first 3 episodes, I remember I was watching them and I was like, I need to make food. I didn't even bother pausing it. I just kept it on, was listening to it as it's going. And then I thought I was going to hold off till the end of the season, but then I started hearing how good it got, so I checked it out. And as you two can say, I'm never excited about Disney Star Wars, but bro, I went up to you two and I was like, you need to watch that now, you need to finish it. It is one of the best things, not just for Star Wars, it is just fucking good TV, man.
It was the first time I saw Tate and Jaden very, very, very passionate about a Star Wars TV show.
Yeah, from the Disney era.
And I mean, the reason that I was so excited, I mean, I watch everything Star Wars regardless of how crap it is.
I'm very picky.
But the fact that Jaden was so, enthusiastic about it really shocked me, because, yeah, Jaden's not the biggest fan of the Disney stuff. And admittedly, I am a lot easier to please in the Star Wars world. So I have a lot of good things to say about a lot of the TV shows that have come out. But it was just seeing you so passionate in a good way as opposed to in a bad way,
But it kind of re-sparked a lot of my... I have a lot of love for Star Wars, always have, but this did re-sparked my interest. Okay, next thing Disney puts out, I'll pay a bit more attention, I'll see.
He appropriately recalibrated his enthusiasm.
Nailed it. What a quote. Recalibrate your enthusiasm. There's another good thing about Andor. I think there's so many quotable moments.
The fucking dialogue, the writing is superb.
Yeah.
They speak how people would speak. Because that's one thing about the prequels and all that. The dialogue was never that good. It was still fun and very quotable, don't get me wrong, but Andor is generally, it's got so much fucking meat to it, and a lot of quotable stuff too.
Yeah, a lot of emotion behind the script writing. And I mean, George always said about the originals and the prequels that he's not a script writer. Yeah. He's like a visual filmmaker, visual director. And he admits that the dialogue isn't as good as it could be, you know? And I think it is incredible and amazing, but there are some flaws. There are some pretty serious flaws with the dialogue in the originals.
Episode 2's got the worst dialogue ever.
Yeah, but yeah, I think Andor is just really concise. They have a lot of emotional weight behind the dialogue, and a lot of the stuff that is said, even in the slow scenes and even in the like slower bits, has a massive impact. You know, this is a huge time in the like kind of timeline. I mean, what happens on Gorman is a pivotal like part to play in the rebellion and in the start of the first film. If that didn't happen, the first film wouldn't have existed.
It would never have kicked off.
So yeah, I think it's really important that they did have the script writing down. Well, they really did.
This is a political drama, so they really, if the dialogue doesn't work, then no one's really going to care for the political side of it. Which that's what kind of happened with the prequels, because it just was a lot of information with no outcome kind of thing. But so if that didn't work, this series could have kind of flopped. But you can tell they put so much passion into every little thought of how this show works. And the director doesn't even like Star Wars, and I think that actually made it better because he's non-biased with it. So he's trying to tell a good story with the Star Wars EP. So he told this war story that is in this, and then he's got the Star Wars EP there and really brought it in naturally, and it fits so well.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I think like going into a Star Wars TV show with the intention of making a TV show and then making it Star Wars, as opposed to making it Star Wars and then making it a TV show, you know, putting it that way round, I think worked really well for Andor. Because what I thought about season 1 was that it wasn't very Star Warsy,
which I still find surprising, because like I said, I don't really I like season 1, but I don't think it's the most amazing thing. But one thing I was always hearing about it is it's the most Star Warsy thing since Star Wars.
I know, maybe it's just me like being a little, I don't know, simplistic, like there's no Jedi, there's no lightsabers, all of that stuff. But I just think like a good portion of it was a Prison Break. You know, there was a lot of stuff that was not, in my opinion, Star Wars style. That doesn't mean I didn't like it. I really liked it. I just thought it was a different style to
Prison Break was a bit, it didn't need to be that many episodes because they were kind of just doing the same thing.
I enjoyed it, and it is a really good like setup for Andor being a leader. You know, he was definitely the thing 100%. That like he definitely got that ball rolling and got everyone out of that prison. I thought that was really cool.
And Andy Serkis, we love you, man.
Damn straight, shout out. But yeah, I didn't think it was the most Star Warsy thing, just in terms of the like cinematic style, you know, the way that the episodes were actually released, the way that the story was told. But I think season 2 is a kind of a bridge between the Star Warsy side of things and what I thought of Andor season 1, because obviously it's such an important time in the Star Wars timeline. It had to be like related to Star Wars. You know, you've got Yavin, you've got Mon Mothma, you've got loads and loads of stuff that is as Star Warsy as it gets, but it's still from the perspective of someone who isn't a big Star Wars nerd, you know.
But that's one thing I think I'm going to bring it back to season 1 real quick. That's one thing I think they did really well. Because you see with like Andy Serkis' character, he never appears in season 2, and the last time you see him, they've broken out this prison and they're just surrounded by miles of water, and he's like, oh, I can't swim, and that's the last time you see him. And fans, we were kind of expecting him to show up in season 2. Same with Andor's sister, you're kind of wondering what happened with her, and that's one thing I've really liked with the director. He lets some stuff just be up to the audience. We don't know what happened to Andy Serkis' character. We don't know what happened to Andor's sister, because like the director said, it's better to just leave that stuff to the audience's imagination. So it shows he doesn't think the audience is stupid. So like I don't know how to explain that. He doesn't think the audience is stupid. So he's I don't know how to explain it. But you know what I mean?
Going off what you just said, there's one of two outcomes for my man.
He's dead, 100%.
He's going to try and swim.
Yeah, he's dead.
He found a life jacket.
He's going to try and swim and drown, or he's just gone back to his cell.
Yeah. No. The director pretty much said that, like you whatever you think happened to him. Like, he definitely died because he can't fucking swim, and there's no way he's going back in that hellhole. So,
and
bye.
That, I think that was a really good point, comparing like what they've done with Andor, like leaving things unsaid, and what they do with some of the other Disney TV shows, which has been their fall down. You know, it's been their crux. Yeah. They're trying too hard to fill the gaps, and they're trying too hard to make things like fit with what's already existing in canon.
They don't trust their audience to be smart enough to just connect things.
Stuff. I mean, it's like the Ki-Adi-Mundi cameo in the Acolyte. Yeah. It's like there was no need for that. You know, we didn't need.
What was the new word we just learned? Clop shutter or something like that. Glop shitter. Yeah, which is we found out is a term in the Star Wars fandom where they just bring in random people from old Star Wars stuff just to put them there, just to be like, hey, look who's here. So there.
Yeah, making cameos for the sake of cameos. A prime example, the Plagueis cameo. I think that literally, that was the most pointless thing.
Yeah, especially now that it's been cancelled. It's like, okay, so you've put that there, now you just left this. It could have been an awesome thing if it was in a better fucking show, but yeah, now it's just there. And now people are like, who's Plagueis? Just some guy that hides and stares from behind a rock, and it's like, oh no, there's so much more.
It was a bit like Tales of the Underworld, where you see 3 episodes of Ventress, and for Dan, this was his first time experiencing Ventress, and I was like bigging her up and being like, oh, she's the most badass like character, she's like pure evil, she's crazy, she's really good with lightsabers, strong with the Force, she's Force choked Obi-Wan and Anakin at the same time. And then we see the 3 episodes with Ventress in Tales of the Underworld, and for me, she did nothing of any like spectacle. She did nothing impressive. She got beaten by Inquisitor in about 2 seconds, and it just wasn't depicting her in the right way. You know?
It was the funniest thing because they gave me a brief briefing, I guess, on her, and then in the first episode, she gets totally destroyed, and then the faces on these two, it's a thing of beauty, you know. They were just like, no, we've got to show you something after this.
It's like, if you're gonna show a character, especially if it's likely to be someone's first experience of that character, like the Plagueis
and it
cameo.
was released on May the 4th as well, so it should, you know.
Yeah. Tales of the Underworld, released on May the 4th. May the 4th, in my opinion, is when the most non-Star Wars nerdy people watch Star Wars.
Yeah, it's Star Wars.
And they release a new TV show. I bet you loads of people watched it who don't know about Ventress, haven't watched Clone Wars, and they see her and they're like, cool, I don't want to know about her, and move on. And it's the same with Plagueis. If you see the Acolyte and that's the first that you've heard of Plagueis,
you won't give a flying fuck.
Then you're going to be like, what is that about?
Exactly.
Like, I mean, admittedly, I don't think half of the people would know it was Plagueis, because it's just a weird face in a cage.
When I think of like them showing Plagueis, it reminds me of the first time seeing Vader. Like, even if you just see the opening scene of A New Hope and you see Vader walk through and his entrance and all that, even if the movie got turned off or whatnot, I guarantee that person's thinking like, oh, that guy, I would love to learn more about him, because just him walking into this white room in all black gives that. But with Plagueis, he's just there hidden in a cave, and it's like, he looked like Gollum. Like, what the fuck is this?
That is a really good point. I think Darth Maul is another prime example of that. You know, he's got 6 minutes of like
screen time, but
screen
left
time.
Such a big impact.
But my god, the impact that Maul has, you can watch. I mean, even just the doors opening, and I mean, admittedly, you see him first with Qui-Gon fighting on Tatooine. But yeah, the door opening, and then Duel of the Fates playing, and his lightsaber being lit on both ends.
We'll take
that's
it from
enough
here.
for me. You know, I'm good. I want to know about this guy.
Yeah, that's hard.
Darth Maul, the proper OG, man. I'm telling you.
Right.
We do love you more. We can't wait for your series, man. And Sam Whitaker.
Oh my goodness, yeah, Sam Whitaker and Ray Parks, a dream team.
Big up, Ray.
It's a
tangent has occurred. We're going back on track. One thing we've not spoken about yet is the stuff that happens on Mina Rao, which is the like farmy planet with
Bix and all that.
Bix, Brazo, and Wilman.
Because they're now what was the planet on season 1 where they had the riot and all that? Where they're from? The Builder planet, like it's a brick planet. They've left that. They have no visas, so they're also illegal immigrants on this planet, which does have some Imperial influence there, but the Imperials kind of leave that planet alone because it's a backwater planet. They're like blah blah, and then we meet up with them where they're kind of living life. You got Bix, you got her younger brother, who I completely forgot was in the show. You got that. What's that funny droid? That the really cute droid that loves Andor.
Red one. I can't remember his name.
That has so much emotion. Like we finally pick up with all them, and you see things are like a bit hard for them. And then shit just starts to hit the fucking fan.
Yeah. One other thing that I quite like, the first time you see Bix is her having the nightmare with Dr. Gorst, I think his name is.
Yeah.
And it just really shows like the impact that Gorst had on her, because this is a year after the end of season 1. Well, so go on.
Well, I was gonna say, for people that don't know, because like we showed Dan the recap. So Bix in season 1, basically, I'm going to say like this, Bix is a victim. She in season 1, she is a victim. In season 2, she'd be a victim as well, but she does have a good arc where she can take her power back and all this. And this is the thing, if they left her as just a victim throughout the thing, it's such wasted potential and all this. But
I very much got that from her intro, because she's sitting there having a nightmare, and you can kind of sum up, you put 2 and 2 together. Right, she's not had a good time at all. And then you do see a character development that goes on from there, rather than just being the base damsel in distress, type of thing.
Yeah, 100%.
Like in season 1, basically Andor in season 1, Andor kills 2 Imperial people, and then he has to be on a run. He's getting chased by the police pretty much. And to get to him, they go through his friends, his close ones, and they capture Bick. And they've made this new torture technique where it's basically using sound waves, and they put this device on your head, and the sounds that you are hearing, I can't remember the creatures they were, but the Empire basically massacred all these like beautiful whale type creatures, and the cries of... It's not the ones that can
Not
like
the
start
rebel
over,
ones?
but it's when the kids are screaming, when the kids are dying and screaming, the Empire found out that if you harness that sound and pull it at a certain pitch, it will drive people insane. So they put that on her, and she's just hearing these children like just get tortured and die, and it fucks with your brain, and it's like being waterboarded or something. So she had that done to her for like 6 months or something. She wasn't having food, she was getting beaten, all this stuff, all
that's
because
Disney, folks.
Exactly. Well, I'm surprised Disney even done that, bro. I'm so happy they put in like that stuff. But it breaks her down, and then at the end she obviously gets saved by Andor, and now she is on this planet. And the first time we are introduced to her in season 2, they're showing the effects of this, and like, yeah, she's got PTSD and all this. And what did you say his name? Dr. Gorst, the guy's name.
Dr. Gorst, yeah. Nasty guy, honestly, nasty guy.
But I love how that was just it wasn't for nothing. They are actually bringing it in, and it implements stuff into season 2. Because like it's the first time we've heard about Death Sticks, which is a drug in the Star Wars universe. But this is the first time in the next episode or whatnot, you see a character use drugs to deal with PTSD.
Yeah.
So I'm glad it wasn't just attacking a character just to be like, oh look, here's some shock value. It actually pays.
Yeah, no, there is definitely weight behind Bix's character, and I think it kind of, I don't know, it like goes against what Disney kind of stands for. You know, it's a very un-Disney show, both season 1 and more importantly season 2.
Which is good, because Star Wars shouldn't be Disney. It should just be Star Wars.
100%.
Disney just needs just fund it, like what you did with Marvel. Fund it.
The amount of effort that George put in originally to independently release the films, you know, he didn't want it under the umbrella of
he
like
sold
massive
so much of his
conglomerate.
own like American Graffiti. He sold so much of his original movie
paid
stuff.
for the vast majority of the first 3, you know.
Almost lost everything. If Star Wars episode 4 didn't work, he would have lost everything, bankrupt. But thankfully it worked, and then he sold Star Wars for
thankfully it was Star Wars.
You know what I mean?
But yeah, no, I think it's really important that Bix is portrayed as a victim to begin with, because it makes it much more impactful towards the end of the season when she is a badass.
Which shows as well, trust your audience to... This is one thing that keeps happening with like just TV in general, like with Netflix and all that. If season 1 is a bit slow and there's going to be some character development, and people nowadays, a character has to just be at their best from the beginning. No one's patient enough for a character arc, and that's one, like with this, I'm so happy they just gave it an arc. Trusted over time, the story will come together and that it will work with like Bix and all that. And kind of lost what I was saying.
They don't need to dumb it down too much for the audience to get an understanding of what's going on.
Have a higher expectation of Star Wars fans.
It's like, because Netflix do that, and then they'll be like, oh well, people complain, oh well, what's this story? This character's boring. Why are they doing this? Even though it's like an arc. Like with Sokka in Avatar Last Airbender, in the live action one, they got rid of his sexism because they didn't want him. They're like, oh no, that's too bad. But the thing is, his sexism is such a big part of his character, because he learns that the women around him aren't weak, and that he can learn so much from them, like with the Kyoshi warriors. But they get rid of that in the live action, which gets rid of half of his bloody character,
half of his development as a character. What makes him so likable at the end of it, you know.
People grow, you change through your experiences, like, you know. But that's what I love about this show of Andor, because Andor was just a random ass character. When this show got announced, everyone in Star Wars fandom was like, why the hell do we need a show about Andor? We know what happens. He's not that much interesting of a character, but it's one of my favorite characters. When I watch Rogue One now, I'm not watching it for Jyn Erso. I'm there like, I need more Andor. Give me more Andor. What's Andor doing over there? I want to see.
You've raised a good point. I literally... When I watched Rogue One after watching Andor, you just see it from such a different perspective, you know? You understand the characters a lot better, but more importantly, you focus on different characters, you know? As you said, Jyn was like a kind of the main character in the whole thing.
Not even kind of, she is.
Yeah, Jyn Erso, and admittedly, she has a massive role to play, and Galen Erso has an even bigger role to play in the story, but... The fact that there's so many really, really key moments before Rogue One even starts that we didn't even know existed until Andor came out. And now that Andor is out, and now that it runs straight into Rogue One, I watched it with a completely different perspective and enjoyed it a hell of a lot more as well.
The fact that sorry, Dan, go on.
I was just going to say, that shows how decent the story writing is for Andor, to have you watch Star Wars film that you've seen
that come out
a few times
come out in
before.
2016,
and then it makes you see it through different eyes. You're having different ideas, and you're concentrating on side characters becoming proper characters. You know,
Fleshing them out.
Very good storytelling.
Yeah,
that was literally what I was going to say. Like, Rogue One come out in 2016. Really good film and all this. But yeah, so we've seen that part of the story, and then from 2020 they bring out this new story which somehow we already know the end to it, and they've added so much depth for it, and it's elevated that movie so much higher. Like, the prequels did that, but arguably the prequels aren't the best and all this. So
open the can of worms there.
Arguably aren't the best. They're great, but you know,
plenty of arguments coming.
We knew the end of the story there, and they still showed us more, made it more like meaty, and showed us stuff that we didn't know, but it was kind of all over the place as well. Like, Anakin shouldn't have started as a kid, but Rogue One, I mean, Andor has really just added so much depth to a movie that, you know, we've seen, and you don't need any more story. You know where it goes from there, and they've just added so much. It's the Clone Wars of the original trilogy.
Yeah, one of the characters that sticks out in my mind in that sense, other than Andor, obviously, is Krennic, director Krennic, 100%. Who is in Rogue One and plays quite a key role. But he's just getting like bullied. You know, Vader hates him, and everyone that is Imperial hates him.
Don't choke on your aspirations.
What a quote! But yeah, you kind of don't really, or at least I didn't understand the weight behind why he was like seen in such a negative light, and then you see that he's kind of responsible for all that happens in.
Wait, when you say seen in a negative light, do you mean by like the characters on the Imperial?
I mean, he just lets down the Empire a lot. You know, he messes up in so many different ways in Andor. Like he's the one in charge of the
I don't think he really messes up. I think what it was because Galen Erso, so basically, Krennic is trying to get an audience with the Empire. Vader says, "Relax yourself a little bit," but he will get that. Appearance in front of the Empire. But then Tarkin comes in and is like, "Oh, I love this thing you've done. I'm taking full credit for it." And then I think that's when his downfall starts, because he's like, "Why the fuck would I give you credit?" And he's like, "Well, there's a leak that has come out about this death machine, and it came from your facility." And then from there, that's when the Empire you've gone and fucked this up.
Yeah, but before that, like, he was the one in charge of the Energy Initiative, which is the like secret meeting he was holding.
Yeah,
he's the one that gets the ball rolling for them going and taking over Gorman. And I know that they need to get the Calcite from inside it, but he is the one responsible for what happens on Gorman, and he is the one that kind of takes the charge and takes responsibility for everything that happens towards the end of season 2. And admittedly, there are other people that kind of take the fall for it.
He's a terrifying character. Like, shout out to the actor. I can't remember his name, but fucking hell, he's a very good actor.
He's a great actor.
And I just found out he has a lisp, but like, he speaks with such authority that lisp completely went over my head. And I know that may sound weird, but it just shows like, I know that just how fucking his presence, how powerful his presence as Krennic is.
He's got a cape on.
It's
because he's got a cape on. Can we please bring back capes?
Anyone from the Empire that has a cape on, you best be scared of them.
Can we please bring back capes? I don't understand why cloaks and capes disappeared and there isn't a fashion trend. Like, please.
Although that goes back to the kind of costume designing in Andor season 2. I think there's just so many awesome costumes and a lot more capes than we're used to. Admittedly, Krennic's is only like a half-length cape, which is a bit odd, but
only half the authority.
But yeah, there's quite a few like Imperial officers or commanders who have capes.
Yeah.
And then some of it's a little more roby, but a lot of the like garments that are made on Gore are like really impressive and really long flowing. I remember Andor's outfit when he walks into the
was hard.
Yeah. When he walks into the I can't remember what's the name, the like leader of Gorman. I can't remember his name. But anyway, goes in to have a secret chat with this guy in the like fabric warehouse. And he just looks drippy. He looks so
hard
cool
as fuck. But all right, going back to episode 1, you said when we go on to Binks, what planet were they on?
Mina Rao.
So when they're going there, obviously because some important stuff does happen there, and then
Brasso, that is someone we've not even properly mentioned yet, and he only makes it to the end of the first arc. So
which episode? It was episode 3 that
episode 3, because at the end of episode 3 is when Andor comes and finds them, in the TIE Avenger.
We just talk about episode 3 because episode 2 This is the point. The first arc was kind of...
We're talking about the arc.
Yeah, we're talking about the overall arc.
So end of the arc is when...
Wait, sorry.
Go on.
Going back to that room, because I want to say about Deidre, because this is where you get a bit of an insight to how her brain works. Because when they're in that room, when Grenick announces the plan, Deidre she has a weird look on her face, and then she goes up to Grenick at the end, and he's like, I could see you had a bit of like an off look on your face. And then she tried like sucking up to him, and he was like, don't be stupid, I know how you think, and I knew you come up with a solution as soon as I open my mouth. And then she stands there and she's like, well, your plan is a bit reckless, we need to get some Gorm people who we can expect to do the wrong thing. And then she starts, so without her as well, Grenick's plan could not have fully gone like to fruition.
Yeah, and speaking about Deidre as well, I think she is just such a well-cast character.
Amazing job by the actress.
Is so impressive in just her like menace, you know. She just is an evil character, and you can tell right from the get-go that she works for the Empire not because she has a moral compass and thinks they're doing good, but because she wants to like annihilate, you know. She wants to dominate.
The natural malice.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
And she just wants to go up the ranks no matter what she has to do. Which, you find out more about that as it goes on, and another thing as well is the beginning of season 2 is just after she gets kicked off Axis, which like it was theoretically what she started. You know, it was like finding the rebels, finding Andor. You remember that like hologram of Andor's face kind of spinning around. And her and Cyril both worked for Axis. Which Cyril's been staring at for years. Which we get such a good moment.
Oh my god! Yeah, no spoilers.
No, I'm not going to say it. Well, I'm just excited to talk about it.
But yeah, Deidre is like, she's hacked off. You know, she's been working up the ranks in the Empire. Just took a massive fallback, and now she's been given this opportunity to go to Gorman and to like kind of, I don't know, to kind of climb the ladder again, because she did definitely kind of step back and step down. But yeah, I just think that she's such a well casted actor, because she just does such a perfect job of being the like really scary villain throughout the entire thing.
Yeah, like she's a beautiful actress, but when I see her character, I'm like the most ugliest person ever. I just want to.
Yeah, you can't help but like hate her.
Yeah,
you know?
and that just shows how fucking well she portrays this character. Like when she's just standing, not even speaking in a room, it looks like she's got a smacked ass or whatnot. Like you can just. Sorry, I can't remember your name, but yeah, amazing job by all the actors on this, I'd say.
Another scene that I think she plays really well is when it's her, Cyril, and Cyril's mum.
Banging scene.
And then the second, like they're having a kind of wholesome conversation, and then the second Cyril leaves to go and get a drink or something, she just flips and like completely dominates the conversation, becomes really like intimidating.
And the point that the mum sees it, this mum is intimidated. It's Cruella de Vil type of intimidating. And like,
she gets shook by it. She gets shook, and then
how does she get given an allowance to see her own kid?
Dedra's like, you're gonna see Cyril once a month, and it's like, hold on a minute, that's his mother you're talking about. Like, it is. I don't know. She's
a brilliant actress as well, because boy, if she was my mum, I would have left that planet long ago.
The monthly FaceTimes while she's like, are you just there counting spiders? Like
every time she speaks to him as well, she's just gunning him down. Like when they're having food, this is Cyril's mum, like when they're having food, like, every time he's there and she goes to open his mouth, you can just see the fear on his face. And then he gets a woman like Deidre, and who doesn't even try to put Cyril in his place, who wants him as like an equal, and shows that to his mum and all that, and then shuts her the fuck down.
And I think as much as it's a weird like coupling, Deidre and Cyril, I think they work quite well together, because Deidre is like a really evil, like menacing, terrible character, and Cyril, although he does work for the Empire, I think he's got more of a moral conscience. He kind of counteracts her a little bit and calms her down.
Because he doesn't know how bad she is, because she kind of keeps all that hidden as well. So for the most time, you do think they are kind of on the same level of evilness. But Cyril, even though but
he doesn't even know about the Death Star.
Yeah, exactly.
He thinks that the Empire is doing good.
Yeah, he thinks he's on that planet to actually do something, because he has to do some what's espionage? Is that the word? That type of stuff. But I love that scene when he's talking. When the mum and girlfriend are talking, and Cyril's just, you said this well, where he just like he's laying on his bed, just staring at the wall, just contemplating his life.
Tangles up on his bed. That is an iconic scene. And then he hears,
the mum calls him in, and then he walks in and he hears the whole vibe of the room's changed into like a good vibe, but he's so like, what the hell is happening?
What have I missed?
Very good character development in the series. I'll say that. Very,
got
very
a few
good.
characters that had really good character development.
Yeah, I mean, on a like slightly wider perspective, it's one of the things I really like was impressed by this season. There's so many characters, and there's so many like important moments that are all like wrapped up pretty succinctly in the second season. You know, they've got 5 years to try and cram into 12 episodes, and they've got, I don't know, at least tens and tens of characters, if not more than that, that play a massive part in the build up to A New Hope. And I just think it was such a massive feat for them to try and attempt that it was kind of setting them up for disaster, but the exact opposite has happened. You know, everyone loves it, and they took on a lot. You know, it was a tall order to try and sort all of that out and try and get everything kind of wrapped up into 12 episodes. But somehow they did it. You know, they did it, and it was impressive.
Seamless. Did it seamlessly. Like, honestly, it's beautiful. And I can't wait to talk about them last 3 episodes. They're fucking incredible.
It's taken a lot of brain power to hold off and not spoil the rest of it, because, oh my God, it gets better. This is like the not good arc, and I'm already excited about it.
This, let's talk about not the end, like mid episode 3 and like the ending of that, because there was a lot of controversial stuff on there. And then we got so much shit to say about how good it is.
Yeah, go on then. What would you like to say about the last set?
Well, with episode 3, what do you have on there?
Not a lot, to be fair. Not a lot.
It's just because it's one of the most controversial things to happen in Star Wars in ages. But like I said, I love the character of Binks, and this didn't have to be in it, but the fact that it's in there doesn't take away from the story. It kind of adds to the story as well, because she find this thing that is happening to her isn't happening because of Andor. This is happening just because she's in the wrong place at the wrong time. And it shows that the Empire, even that we know they're evil, like they blow up planets and all this, but this is showing little more evil sides, because like one of the generals tries to essay her, and they're showing like, okay, these people blow up planets and all that, yes, they're evil, but to us that's a fantasy type of evil. Like, actually try and imagine our planet being blown up by a metal moon or whatnot. It's not relatable, but then seeing that it's relatable for some people, and it's a real world issue, and I can't put myself in the character's shoes, but I could feel that disgust, because I know it's a real horrible thing.
It's a very tooth and cheek moment for them to add into Star Wars or Disney. You know, it's quite ambitious.
It did go on for. When I heard about it, I thought that scene would be about 30 seconds. It did go on for quite a bit, and I was like, oh my God, this is actually terrifying. But you see Bix take some of her power back when she fucks this guy up. Yeah,
he got what was coming for him.
The development starts.
But another thing
exactly, that's when she's like, I'm gonna fuck this, I'm taking my power.
Yeah, another thing I thought was quite impactful about that, other than the obvious, was it was kind of, I mean, it was kind of it wasn't really one of the first times, but it was another time that you see someone who isn't the Emperor or Darth Vader being evil. A lot of people think that 90% of the people in the Empire are only in the Empire because they're scared of the Emperor, which is fair enough. Yeah. But this is like a really like obvious demonstration that even the people that are lower ranking, you know, even the less relevant characters are still horrible, nasty people. You know, they still do some disgusting things because they work for the Empire.
They were meant to be there for like a routine check type thing or whatnot, and then it turns into this
like
thing.
Clear abuse of power. Even if you're not Darth Vader with like literal force powers, you know, they're still abusing the fact that they are part of the Empire, which means they are unbeatable. You know,
and then his after she kills this guy, he's got a partner outside who hears the commotion. He comes over and she explains what this guy just tried doing, which is another thing I think did trigger a lot of people, because they did actually use the word rape, and I think hearing that word in a kids show did throw some people off. But this is it again. Andor's not a kids show. We're all adults now. We've grown up with Star Wars. Like, we can handle some of these topics, and then putting it there is quite good. But it also shows his partner was like, okay, yeah, he did that, but I don't give a shit. Like, you killed him, so I'm going to kill you. And it's like, it just shows there's no consequences for these. Well, at least the Empire thinks there's no consequences for like some of their stuff. Yeah. And then Andor comes in just...
Going back to what you were saying about it being like not a kids show, but still Star Wars, I think one of the things that was a little, I don't know, a little alarming for me was that it is like, not just in reference to that scene, there is so much of Andor that is for an adult audience. Yeah. And they didn't make that clear, at least from my perspective, they didn't make it obvious that it was going to be that brutal and that much I don't know, that much more explicit. And like they use swear words in it a little bit as well, and it's like there's just little things that I know for a fact kids are going to go on to Disney Plus and click on the new Star Wars show and just watch it. And then even like, I don't know, I can just picture a little kid being like, oh, it's Star Wars, and then mum and dad are like, oh, it's fine, whatever,
and then
go
leaving them to watch it,
and then leaving it to watch some really brutal stuff. So yeah, I think they could have been a little more obvious about the fact that this is definitely not a kids show.
But that's one thing as well. I will say this: there is one thing they could have, because it got a lot of backlash, being like, "Oh, like that shouldn't be in it." Blah blah. Disney, next time, just put a disclaimer before the episode. Say this episode is going to depict some of this, blah blah. If this has ever happened to you or a friend, this is a number to call. Just give them that to give people the heads up of, okay, this episode might get into that. I'm not going to leave my kid here on their own to watch that.
Yeah, because it had the little pop up at the top, where it says like the age rating and whatever.
And violence stuff.
Yeah, but that is not enough of a warning.
I don't mind
for some of the stuff, because like if an 8-year-old is watching that, that's going to be kind of messed up,
Because I don't mind that's in there, or not even getting a warning. But if I did have a kid, I would have liked to seen that during the episode. Because if it comes to that and they're like, "What's this?" I'm like, I don't want to explain.
It's going to spark some complicated conversations.
So I get it, but it's not enough to fucking
warrant.
The way people were going about it. But so this happens to her, which is the only reason I want to bring up is because it is part of her character arc, and generally her character arc, even the way she gets, when she finally gets her power back, the way they did that just happened randomly as well. You don't even know it's about to happen. It's amazing, but we will get into that. But so they've been betrayed by one of their friends on this planet who has said that they don't have their visas, and then this stuff is happening to Bix. Her friends come catch up with her, and then they're basically on the run. And this is where we see one of the guys from season 1, just before Andor comes in the nick of time. His best childhood friend that I used to work with ends up getting shot by the one by the one stormtrooper that can actually shoot on fucking target. Manages to get him from such a distance.
They focus on the stormtrooper aiming up and taking his time. It's like, hold on a minute, this ain't Star Wars.
Exactly.
Stormtroopers cannot aim.
And then
he got a promotion, that.
100%.
Yeah, but Dan, I want to ask you, did that have any impact on you? Because Brazo has a bigger role to play in the first season, and he only lasts 2.5 episodes basically. So yeah,
next to none, to be quite honest with you, from watching from series 2 anyway, because I didn't really have much backstory or anything for him, so it wasn't a key point for me watching. But
I just think he didn't, because obviously most of the first episode was nothing to do with Brazo at all, and then if you hadn't, it's a bit odd not watching season 1 and then going to season 2, but even so, he didn't seem to have much of a role to play in the short time he had left in the season. You see what I mean? He could have been more impactful while he was there, other than just kind of being a safe haven, making sure Bix was all right, and then getting shot by the only stormtrooper that can aim. And
that was literally the whole thing with him.
You did just make me think though that see, he's a big character in season, you seen him die, it's like, yeah, okay, that's just a person die, it's sad because you didn't watch in season 1. But this is the thing as well with the time jump. I just clocked, he dies, episode 3 finishes, boom, okay, after that 2-year time jump. You don't even get time. We didn't even get time to be with the characters, and we see Andor's face as he's flying away. With this is but we never got time to actually see them be like, oh my god, so it did kind of feel like, if you didn't watch season 1, you would just think that character's just there for them first 3 episodes. This was just lived there in the background. But this is where it's that scene. So he's just, what was his name? Brazo. He's just been shot, and then we cut back to Mon Mothma, because she's now having her daughter's wedding. They're having the reception that happens after the wedding, isn't it, the party thing? Yeah. So they're having a reception for the wedding, and they're playing these Star Wars pop type of music, which at first I didn't like, but then it keeps cutting back to Andor after they've just lost their friend and they're trying to fly away. It keeps coming back to Andor where he's in the rebellion, fighting, losing friends and all this. It cuts to his serious face of him being upset, and then you cut to Mon Mothma at her daughter's wedding. But just before that, she's been told how shit might hit the fan, and how her life can come crashing down. But then she goes off and parties. Yes, she gets really drunk. She says to her daughter, she didn't have a good relationship with her mum. Her mum got really drunk at her wedding, kind of ruined it, and she would never do that to her daughter. But then she finds out all this stuff might be happening to her, and that she can get really fucked over, because obviously she's going against the Empire in secret, trying to lead a rebellion. And then so she does exactly what her mum does. She gets super drunk and she's dancing around in the thing, and they're playing the music, and it shows a good contrast of, even though she's not on the ground, she's still having to fight her own battles, and it's still very scary. But then you cut to Andor, who is on the ground. He's being more serious, has to take on, be a bit more stoic, and actually has to lead with it. And the way they keep doing this, they did it with the Empire and the Rebels. They've done it with a rebel character and a rebel character, just showing the contrasts of life and how it is what did you say, splinter groups and all this. There is just so much going on, and that's why I don't mind that song anymore. I think it does fit quite well.
Yeah,
if you know what
and
I mean.
Another thing to say about that scene, I just think Mon Mothma and like the portrayal of her being so distressed, but just kind of having to deal with it and going to party anyway.
Yeah, has to
I just think
suck
it was
it
done
in.
so effectively. You know, like with it was like really close ups of her kind of dancing, but not because she was having a good time.
Yeah,
you know,
she
it
just
was
needs to
like
release.
escapism. She was and having like back to back space shots as well.
Just enjoying the downtime before everything goes on. That's what I think
like
it's
you can just tell how much is going through her mind at the time.
It's kind of like, you know, where say if you've been crying or whatnot, or like you're crying and then one of your mates come in the room or whatnot, and you have to turn around and put on a smile and like suck up all the tears and act like nothing's happened.
Yeah.
Like that's like her life, every second of her life, because she is stressed and all this shit. Family could die, she could die, but she has to hold in all this stuff, and I think they really did show that in such a good way.
Yeah, she puts on a brave face. There is a quote from slightly later in the show where the guy, I can't remember who it was, I think it might have been the senator for Gorman, who just went up to her and was like, I haven't thanked you enough for just putting on such a brave face for all these years.
A senator. Do you know it's that guy with the beard that you're talking about, innit? Is he blue? You know he's in Rogue One? I didn't even know. When I rewatched Rogue One, he was there. When they're talking about how to get the plans for the Death Star, so many actors from Andor are standing around that
Hundreds
table.
Of cameos, right?
Yeah, and that was in 2016. I'm like, they managed to bring them all back. But yeah, he was like, yeah, I didn't thank you enough for like what you're doing, because everyone kind of, they would help, but they're like, yo, if any of you finds out, this is on you. But I was gonna say Moff Gideon. Mon Mothma is stuck by her guns, and
yeah. She is a brave woman.
Do you know who I don't even know if he actually appeared in the first 3 episodes. Who's something Skarsgård? Bill Skarsgård's dad. Bill Strapboo. Bill. Who's the Donnie with the wigs? I can't remember his name.
I don't know. The
Donnie with the wigs who owns the shop, who pretty much starts the rebellion, who Andor works for.
Luthen.
And he's Luthen, there you go. Yeah. Was he much in? I've just realised we haven't even touched on him, but I don't know if he was really in the first
Luthen
arc.
was at the wedding, so he was at the wedding, and he was like lurking about trying to speak to loads of people about what was going on, and it didn't really make sense in the first 3 eps what he was actually intending to do. But you do raise a good point. We do need to speak about Luthen in depth, because he is a massive character.
Yeah, I didn't know. In season 1, I'm like, right, this guy's a bit of a prick, bro. None of this would have happened if it weren't for him. Like the rebellion would be nothing. This guy, he even said, I'm fighting for a sunset I will never see. And like he literally had to say down to like, this is it, we're not fighting for us, we're fighting for the future, and fuck it. If you got family, forget them. If you got friends, forget them. What did Andor say to him at the end of season 1? Bring me in or kill me right now. So he's like, you know, if you're about the rebellion, you got to be. And it's so beautiful the way they can show how much people have to give up, and then they get no credit for it. Luke Skywalker comes in at the end and like just takes all the credit. So, you know.
Yeah, another good quote from him is when Andor was like, I'm being a soldier, and he's like, be a leader.
Be a leader.
Oh, that's just that has some weight behind it.
Luthen, brilliant. And his assistant, by the way, this is her first. She's done a bit of like theatre work. The actress. This is her first proper like TV role. No, she was in season 1, and then she played a big part, and then she was in season 2. And even without her, she was kind of keeping it all together. Like she even said, like, Luthen, you're losing sight of things. Like if it weren't for her as well, Luthen would have also just fell off a long time ago. And in later episodes, when we'll talk about her character more, I can't really remember her name.
Maya Pei?
Is it Maya Pei, Luthen's assistant?
Like kind of half daughter.
Yeah, his adoptive daughter. Yeah. Later on, we get some really good episodes with her, and a bit of a backstory as well.
Yeah, well, the flashback was...
Which we didn't even really need. But the fact that they did do it added so much character depth to both of them.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, it shows why they're so... why they do what they do.
Good young Leia, not young Leia, but Leia in a like New Hope level Leia. Because sometimes I look at her and I was like, she resembles Carrie Fisher at times.
Yeah.
And her character, amazing. I did not care for her in the first season. I forgot she was even in it. And then... I think she's one of my favourite characters in season 2.
Yeah, she does have an important role to play. And I mean, the two of them camped out on Coruscant the whole time, you know? It's a bold move.
They are right under the Empire's
They just
nose.
have this tiny little antique shop in Coruscant, which is now completely Imperial occupied.
And they're putting in they're like spying on people and all this stuff. Like they're right on the front line underneath the Empire's nose, even selling stuff to the Empire.
And I mean, we won't get the Death Star plans without them as well, which would make 100%. Carrie Fisher's line a little harder from A New Hope. So.
This is hope.
Masters are hiding in plain sight.
But on that note, we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you so much if you've made it to the end of the podcast. And yeah, we love you immensely.
It's been such a ride, like even getting to this point, to be fair. So yeah, thank you. Load more comment coming soon. Fuck's sake.
Load more content, yeah.
A load more content coming soon. So appreciate you all, and yeah, keep an eye out.
And speaking of content, we will definitely be doing the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th arcs from Andor. 100%. We're going to have some chats about that. Yep, if you are not a Star Wars nerd, then do not fret. We will have plenty of other content, and that will be coming out next.
Yeah, we're going to that soon as well. And our final reviews on the Andor season, you can expect them very soon. And yeah,
plenty of backgrounds to make as well.
Exactly. You can have all them pretty images. We appreciate you. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share it with your friends and family as well, because the more you speak about it, the more interaction we can get, and we just want to hear from anybody. May the force be with you, innit?